So my name is Syed Farhan Naqvi, and this is the first task that was given to me by the Sparks Foundation. The link to the dataset is provided over here. I went to this link, I downloaded it, the dataset in the form of a CSV file, and named it as student underscore scores. So as I'm using Google Colab, there's a need to upload a file over here, and then only we can be using it. So I have imported all the required libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and sklearn is very important for implementing the machine learning models. The I've used warnings.filter warnings. This is basically to suppress all of the warnings that the potential warnings that might appear. It's not needed, but I've done it. And in the next cell, basically, I have read my CSV file using the read underscore CSV. And now, as I've read this file, now I'll be exploring this data set because before implementing any model, it's very important for you to know your data very well. So I have printed the first 5 rows using the head function. 5 is the default value. I can write any of the values, like any value like 3, 4, and I can get those number of rows printed over here, but it should not exceed the total number of rows that are actually present in the data set. The shape, df.shape basically gives us an understanding of the number of rows and the number of columns. It basically gives you a tuple in which you'll be getting two values. The first value is going to be denoting the number of rows, and second value is going to be denoting the number of columns. Df.describe is basically used to get the statistical values of the whole data set. So in this, we'll be first getting the number of rows that are what is the count of the total number of rows of each and every column. In this case, in our data set, we have basically just two columns, that is hours and scores. In that, both of them have 25 rows. Apart from that, we are going to be getting the minimum and the maximum value, the 25, 50, and 75 percentile. Apart from these, we are also going to be getting the minimum, the mean, and the standard deviation over here of each and every column. IsNull is a function that is basically used to know whether there are any null values that are present in your data set or not. So isNull.sum is going to count the total number of values that are present in each and every column and give us. So in our case, my data set contains no null values, or so it's basically a clean data set. So that's a good thing. So df.info is basically used to get a concise summary of the entire data set, which classes df belong to, the range of the indexes, the number of columns, and apart from that, we also do get additional information like the memory usage. So so in the next cell, I have basically, it's from my own understanding that how many students have got less than 35. In that case, those students have failed basically. Now I've also plotted this scatter plot between the number of hours a student studies and the score a student achieves by studying those many hours. So the blue, orange, and green lines, as you can see, are the 25, 50, and 75 percentiles respectively. Then I have stored all the independent variables in X and all the dependent variables in Y. I've done this because I have to use this X and Y in train test split for splitting my data set into training data as well as test data, as we are not going to be using the entire data set as training data. So over here, I've used linear regression. I've implemented this model. I've fit the training values, the X train and the Y train. So these are basically the two values out of the four values I got implementing this function over here. So in the next cell, I have basically used the predict function to predict the test values, and y underscore pred basically contains those predicted values, whereas y underscore test contains the actual values. So I got this y underscore test using the train test split function, and then I'm going to be comparing these values by using the R2 score and the mean squared error. So these functions are present in the sklearn.metrics library. You can use them. And the main question that was given to me was, what is the score of a student if he or she studies for 9.25 hours a day? So the student would be getting 93.79%. So we have implemented this model, and this model is used to predict if by passing the number of hours over here. So if you pass the number of hours, we'll be getting the score that the student might achieve. So this is the score that the student will be getting, that is 93.7 if he or she studies for 9.25 hours a day. So that's my whole task, my analysis, my me exploring the whole data set. And yeah, thank you.